So this is going to be how to make a crochet butterfly. So we're attaching a slip knot to the crochet hook. Take the loose end, wrap it over the main strand. Now you have a loop. Take the loop, wrap it over the main strand. Put your hook below the center strand, back up the opposite side. Now you have the slip knot. Let's do that one more time because I'm not sure that it was right all in the camera vision. Take the loose end, wrap it over the main strand. Now you have a loop. Take the loop, wrap it over the main strand, put your hook below the center strand, back up the opposite side. Now you have a slip knot. Now let's work a chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Join with the beginning chain. And so I'm going to work, let's do 12 half double crochet. So the half double crochet is yarn over, put through the center loop, yarn over, pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This is what we've got now. And okay, 12. And so I'm going to yarn over and secure just like that right here at the beginning. Now I do have an aid here. It's all it is cardstock, cardboard, scraps, something from a cereal box, a popcorn box. How long, wide is it? It's probably under a 1/2 inch, maybe it's between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. So I fit it around my hook like this to make this particular stitch. So you can see how it's, and it'll work on the other stitches too. It's just to add an additional measure to help aid in making the coil stitch. So what I want to do right now, let's see, how do I want to do this? So what I want to do is work, I'm going to make an extended loop like this. So I'm going to work this one. I believe I'm going to work it shorter, a little bit shorter. So each time what I'm going to do is put it through here like this, through, so I'm going to thread this thing through, hold on to it. It's a lot easier than I'm making it look right now to do this. And so I'm going to make shorter stitches this time, coils. I'm going to do, let's start off with 7. 1, 2, 3, well, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 will work like this. I don't want them too tight. And so then, okay, so we need to move this down a little bit like this because we've, oh, now I have it on there too tight. A little bit tighter than what I want. Okay, so what I need to do is adjust my hook right here like this, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, and we're pulling through all the loops. And so I face my hook down. I put it on there a little bit tighter than what I needed it to be. Then I just pull that out like that. And it really helps make the coil. Just like that. Okay, we have a comment here. Let's see what we've got going on. I should have myself muted. Hello? David Deeringer. Okay, hello, David Deeringer. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have a total of 12 all the way around. I believe that's what I'm going to do is 12. And so I secure and then chain 1. And so what I'm going to do is the same thing. I thought I had one that was a little bit shorter. I do. Let me use my, should I use my shorter one? Maybe I should use my shorter one. I think it'll be easier if I do my shorter one. then I won't get myself into such a big mess as what I'm doing. So I have one here that's a little bit shorter, and I'm gonna, oh, Molly Ostro, hello. Okay, so, okay, we've got this right here, and I'm going to pull this right like that. So I've got a total of, I'm looking for a total of 6 additional wraps for a total of 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 just like that. So I'm going to put my hook through here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, and then through the rest of the loops just like that, and then yarn over and secure. And I'm trying not to pull it too tight, and then I just pop this on out like that. And so we come up with this really pretty coil stitch. Let's see, I thought I had another one that was medium length. Where is the medium length one? I guess I'm just going to keep using this one. Now I'm going to work a chain 1. Okay, and so we're going to pop this right back in here like this. I'm wondering, you know, I still think there could be some type of clip-on thing or something somehow where we could do this. And you know, I know they have always said they make crochet hooks that are specific for doing this, but I've yet to find any of them that actually work without getting hooked up on the stitch. But see, this one has to be kind of movable because otherwise the hook grabs a hold of the yarn. So we've got 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let me push these back. 7. Don't pull too tight. Stick the yarn through your thread, yarn over, pull through like this, and then I face it down. So I face it down, and then I pull through like this. Keep pulling like that. Pull up. I don't want it to be too tight. Yarn over, pull through, then I pull it out, and I have a beautiful stitch here. I am making them kind of tight. I actually like them tight because of the fact that it makes a really pretty stitch. And it looks like the one that I see on YouTube all the time. I could do this with, that's probably why I use the straw, because see right now after I use this a little bit, then it kind of becomes a bit wonky because of the fact that it's starting to get a little bit worn now because I've been using it. That's what we're supposed to do. It's free, so we can cut up as many papers as we want to, right? Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for a total of 7 because the loop on my hook already counts as a loop. Okay, so yarn over, pull through the first loop, and then pull through the rest of the, uh-oh, I messed up. See, this is what happens. This is the part that I don't like. Okay, I need to start over again because that didn't work. Okay, you stay right there like that. We're going to start over. Try and do it a little bit looser. 1, 2, oh, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right like that. 7. And then put our hook through, yarn over. Okay, yarn over, pull through the first loop, and then pull through all the loops here like this. Pull this up, yarn over to secure, like that. Okay, and so this is what we've got, 4 loops right here like that. So we're working on a butterfly, and I promise that we will get to a butterfly. I've got 12, so that means Eventually we'll get to a butterfly. um, if I stop doing the bullion stitch, we'll get to the butterfly sooner. This one takes a little bit longer because of the fact that it's a longer process to work this pretty stitches. Okay, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6, 7. Okay, and now we're putting our hook through like this. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through 1. And then the rest of the remaining loops just like that. Okay. Okay, now I'm starting to get the hang of it a little bit more. Okay. And then we will chain 1 like that. Let me see if this one, let me try this one. Yep, I'm messing this one up because of the fact that it's getting worn out. So you're going to probably, if you do this a lot, you're going to have to replace your papers. But I don't need that much, so I'm going to put it down closer to the end and then wrap around 1, 2, oh, that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I liked, the thing is, yesterday when I was doing this, I liked the longer one because it was easier to grab a hold of. So let me see if I can get the hang of this one again, of how I was doing it yesterday. I should be able to. And then again, what I think I should be able to do and what actually happens does not always align up with each other. It just doesn't, unfortunately. Okay, so let me put this right here like this, and we're going to try that again. 1, 3. Now if I try to do this how the other crochet people explain it, I think they're AI. I don't believe that they have millions and millions of out of the blue of people watching these specific videos. 5, 6, 7, and I just don't believe that, you know, I've never seen them do a live stream related to actually doing this stitch for them to see the same thing is happening again. Okay, let's just work with it this way. That was too hard. That was entirely too hard there, like that. Okay, at this point, okay, I still like how it looks. It's just that, let's see, how else can I do this? Well, maybe, do I have my scissors out? I sure do. Let me just cut a fresh piece of paper and see what, that's what I'm going to do, is cut a fresh piece of paper here. And okay, cutting a fresh piece of paper. And okay, so I'm just going to start off like this instead this time. I do need to kind of, I kind of put like a little bit of a, hello Nellie Miha, Nellie Miha, is that right? I hope I said it right. M-E-J-A-H, Magia, or I don't know if you pronounce the J or not. I know sometimes they're silent and other times they're not silent. I mean, J is kind of a fun letter, like a lot of them in the English language are, because we never know which ones are silent. Sometimes we have an awful lot of silent letters in our alphabet, and sometimes I think we have entirely too much letters in our alphabet. We could get by with no letters in our alphabet and talk without an alphabet. That's what I think. No alphabet, right? I mean, and I used to eat some alphabet cereal. Do they still make the alphabet cereal? That's what I was wondering. And you know that Google, our parent company here, out of Wahoo, Arizona, or whatever it's called. You know how David Letterman always said that. Thank you to our parent company out of Wazoo, Omaha, or something like that. I can't remember where it is. But actually, Google is in California. I was just trying to be silly, and I don't think it worked out very well. And so Google, is it Google? Yeah, Google is Amphitheater Parkway. I knew I'd remember that, Amphitheater Parkway, because it follows suit with the United States government to varying degrees. So Google is doing experiments inside of their where I'm pretty positive at this point that Google has a whole bunch of vacant buildings that they own, because that's what Google told me, is that they always move into vacant buildings. They'll take over buildings that other people won't. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I found that kind of odd. It's like, why in the world would Google take over a building that other people won't live in? I know why now, especially with the strong ties to the American people. Okay, are we going to get you to work? Yes, you are working good this time, a little bit better. I mean, someone wrote that at one point, or that's what they told me anyway. They said Google moves into buildings that most other people won't move into. I mean, that now, if that's truly, you know, I'm just repeating something that someone else told me. That's all I'm doing. I'm just repeating something. I hope you guys know that. I'm no expert at anything. I know a lot of nothing. That's my experience in life. I know a lot of absolutely nothing. And I just kind of dabble around with a little bit of things. You know, the thing is, it's like when I like doing something, I like doing something. I like making myself to get better at it, not worse. Now, there's some people who like making things worse. Now, I always try to take the side of, well, let's take what is worse and try to give it a nice spin. But some of those are kind of like a demolition derby that want to, it's like a bull in a china shop, a woolly mammoth in a tape store. A woolly mammoth. Oh, I just gave myself a new idea. A woolly mammoth in a tape store. That would be fun. I just gave myself a new idea. Now I want to make a short. A woolly mammoth in a tape store, in a sticky note tape store. I think that would be fun, but I hope I remember this. Okay, I'm working on my butterfly. So let my brain not become too distracted, dear God, to the baby Jesus of the almighty higher power of the earth and the dirt and the waters and the sky. And I'm just rambling right now about absolutely nothing. Nothing. I know nothing. I swear I know nothing. I'm just trying to do right and blend in with everybody. And God forgive me for rambling too much. I talk too much. I know that's what men say. I talk too much. I'm a woman. I talk about nothing. I already know this. I know this is my fault. It's my fault. Absolutely my fault, because of the fact that I'm a woman. I was born a woman, and women just talk entirely too much. Actually, you know, recently I've come across some men who they talk too much, and they're mean. Some of them are mean, not all of them. Or they come across as mean. I think they're trying to come across as nice, but there's something really, I better just be quiet. I say it best when I say nothing at all. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, right. Left, left. No, no. Yes, yes. Up, up. Down, down. Go away. Don't come back. Rain, rain. Go away. Come again another day. Okay, let's keep working on this and shut up. You're driving yourself nuts. Oh, we're driving down the road in a car called Nuts. But you know, it's just the loony bin is out there. You think maybe they look for buildings that you think maybe they look for buildings like that cause, because they're cheap? Absolutely, yes. I do. I do believe that. Google is the opposing side to Microsoft. Now, Microsoft was doing things expensive. Google is the opposing side, and nobody ever looked at this part of Google very closely. Google was moving into things that already existed because they can buy them up cheaper. And so there's a logic to this that to me makes complete sense. It makes absolute complete sense, because the thing is, it's like, well, people who have nothing, it's kind of like animals. Okay, water takes the flow of least resistance. Animals also take the flow of least resistance, which means that if you have an opening in a building, animals will move into it. If you have I know I went down there, I remember I talked about this a few weeks ago, probably not that long ago. And what I had said was that animals will move into a building when there's a hole in it. And it's kind of the same premise. And yes, I see some common denominators related to an opposing side of the government in and of itself buying up things on an inexpensive side. But there's a problem with this though too, because there are people then who want to exploit it. They want to buy up the buildings then, and they want to keep raising the price higher. That's what they're doing. And it's like, and when you try to rationalize, let's just call him Wall Street. It's no specific person. Let's just call it Wall Street. Because Wall Street is not Google. Wall Street is the problem. Wall Street is inflation. And so they want to buy up these buildings, and then they want to, the thing I think about, I know Angry Cops is playing a live stream right now, and he's bought a second house. He said himself that he kind of regretted buying the first house. He bought it for $50,000 and then spent a whole boatload more of money fixing it up, and then realizing he wasn't going to get his money back after he fixed the house up because he put as much money, he put over $50,000 into the house. So he learned that himself being a former military person, his own self, he admitted pretty much, I think at some point when he was talking to his baby Jesus, his basement Jesus, that the house was not something most people would be able to afford. I think what he said at one point that it should have just been demolished and a new house built. But then there's a problem with the new houses then. Now, the truth is a lot of those old houses are over 100 years old. They're dumps. I mean, now, I will admit, if you can salvage things out of an old house, I don't object to that. So if there's inspectors or people who say, okay, let's look at these things inside of this old house, and we can say, okay, maybe there's a toilet that can be reused somewhere, and maybe we can clean it up and, replace it into another type of HUD house or something like that. I wouldn't take a 50 or 100-year-old toilet and put it into a new build and say, okay, we're putting in brand new toilets when you're repurposing and recycling something. Isn't that a deceptive business practice? And so this is another problem. It's like, well, okay, so if Google moves into things, they want it free or cheaper. How do you anticipate that people who make no money purchase something free and cheap, which is people who have no income? I mean, this is the thing I try to rationalize with some people, and it's very hard for them to rationalize this because money people who are making money on Wall Street and making money in other places don't care about a distribution of wealth. They just care about a distribution into their bank account. Distribution. I mean, there literally is distributions into bank accounts. Distributions are also Wall Street interest, interest for allowing some entity to borrow your money, be that Wall Street with shares, starting a new business, an alternative to banks and interest. So where most people are A lot of a housewife would sort of be considered unbankable. If you have no money, what do you need a bank account for? And the same with kids. And now the problem with that is if you want to just have a bank account, I don't think you can just have one because of the fact you're not putting any money in it. And some banks in the past had started charging interest on banks. They required you to have like at least $50 or $500 or something like that in the bank account, or they started charging you interest and just took the money from you. Now, how was that fair? And banks literally did that. When I was a military spouse, they did that to us. And it's like, that really seems unfair that you have to keep a certain amount of money in the bank in order to have a bank. Otherwise, you're discriminating. I mean, let's call it what it is. It is discriminating as far as that goes. So, so there is a huge lack of understanding related to people who don't have incomes, and that's primarily it's an absolute with children. We can agree, whether you believe it or not, that children absolutely do not have an income. That's an absolute, because they're not born with money coming out of the wazoo. They're just not. Children do not have incomes. So why should a children just be born into affluence just because the parents had money, which some of them are? Okay, I finished my 12th one apparently. I didn't think I was done, but I am. And so this makes the discussion is very hard to have with people. Maybe we should put 13 on here, an extra 13. I think 13 is a, let me put 13 on here, and we're gonna, because I have a space right here. I like the number 13 because rich people don't like the number 13. And you know why rich people don't like the number 13? That is because it reminds them of indentured servitude. They don't like the 13th Amendment. They do not want to talk about the Constitution and equality and how people are supposed to survive. And that's why there's such a big movement of women who understand, the thing of my life is a dumpster fire, and are we supposed to just go live in the woods like we're 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago? And that's the thing about, young people who are graduating and, are just living with their parents because they don't have a future. And I recognize this being a woman. Women are nurturers. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it again. Women are nurturers, want to take care of the offspring and people, make sure they're taken care of. But then when we're met with resistance, and which is resistance of oh no, I want all the money for myself, and that's Wall Street, and that is those who are starting out a new business or whatever. Right now would be the worst time ever to start a new business, and any business that started in the past, I'm going to say 10 years, is an absolute going to fail. It's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work is because they just keep raising prices higher and higher. So we have been in a Great Depression for the past 20 years, since September 11th, because they keep raising prices so high that people can't afford to live. And that's why we're in a Great Depression right now. We are in a Great Depression for people mentally, and then monetarily for people who don't have any money because no one can afford to live anywhere. But trying to reason with people who, trying to reason with Wall Street and self-private corporate governance is like talking to a brick wall. It is. It's a dead end. Somebody's got to get through to them. I don't know who, but it is. It's talking to a wall. Humpty Dumpty is a great big idiot right now. Thumpty Dumpty, Thrumpty Dumpty sat on a wall. He's a big idiot. Do I sound any different than I did 10, 15 years ago? Other than being beat down by uh, idiots for husbands, ex-husbands. Do I sound any different though in what I think? I don't think so. I don't. I really don't, because I've heard. Where have I seen some things that I said? There's some things that I've written about before I deleted my original YouTube channel that is really still in line. You know, with my thinking, it's just I'm able to voice it a little bit more now. So, okay, I've got started here with my butterfly. And so I want to attempt here now. I'm going to work here. And we're going to work some clusters and get this thing moving along. We're going to make a few. Okay, and let's do it like this. Double crochet. We just go through 2 at the beginning. Oh, well, I'll do it that a little bit better. Chain 2. Okay, yarn over, put it through the stitch like this. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over the stitch, put it through the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got a cluster right here like this. Okay, and so, okay, I don't know that I need that many. So if I've got 12, which means I'm going to attempt to come up with 6 sides. So I'm going to chain 1 between. I'm going to make a cluster here in this chain like this, right, like this, and then I'm going to work a chain 2, and I'm going to do the same thing again, same thing, making a cluster stitch right here. Cluster, they're in a family. These stitches are in a family. Okay, but I'm trying to shoot for 6 sides is what I'm working on. One of them I'm going to get an extra one because I put 13 in here for good measure. Okay, so I'm working an increase in this next one, chain 2. I'm working an increase like this, and then okay, I have a loop that came loose there, and I don't want that loop to be loose. Okay, we are working our cluster right here like that, and then chain 2. Now I'm working individual clusters through each of these chain loops like this, individual clusters like the okay, chain 1, and now I'm working the increase in the next stitch like this, and then chain 2, and then okay, so I should have some points now. I do have points. Do you see this? I do have points. These are my turning points right here because I'm turning from we're turning our circle into a hexagon. Yeah, hexagon. 6 sides. I believe that's still a hexagon unless somebody's changed it on us. I hope not. I hope we still have a hexagon with 6 sides. It's not an octagon. Octagon is 8 sides. Hexagon is 6 sides. The last I knew, unless somebody has changed it on us. And that's a possibility. And I know Angry Cops, when I was watching. Hello there. Hello there, United States military. Our friends from above. Hello there. Our dog fighters. Okay. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. Am I only going to get 5? Because if I'm making a pentagon, this is not going to work. A pentagon is not going to work. I should wait, 6. I should be able to get. Where did I mess up? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. No, pentagon is not going to work. I've already tried this. The pentagon does not work. Okay, I screwed pentagram, pentagon. 1, 2, I screwed up somewhere. Did I miscount? Let's see, let's start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I should be, I know where I'm screwing up then. Wait. I should be doing only 1 instead of 2. 12 to give me 6. That's where I'm screwing up, I think. I think I need to do just 1 instead of 2. That's probably what I'm doing wrong. Let me try this instead. So I don't have a pattern right in front of me to see how I'm screwing up here. I just am screwing up. I know that much. I know what I'm doing here is not going to work. That's kind of like life, you know, when you know there's a lot of things, you know, in life that are not going to work. And you try telling someone, oh, it's not going to work. And they're like, oh, yes, it does. We're going to make it work, whether you want it to work or not. It's like, no, it's not going to work. It's not. Okay, so our pentagon is not working very well. So or the pentagram. Yeah, this might work. I knew I was doing something wrong there. Okay, so let's get on with our clusters here. Was there a cluster bomb at one time? Hello, Tanya Boynes. I think the military has a cluster bomb, don't they? Or did they call that bouncing betties? I was thinking there was something called bouncing betties. Now, I would bet $1 to a donut that bouncing betties was naughty in the military. And that's all I'm going to say. But they called their bombs bouncing betties. Kind of like I call landmines. You know, when a dog takes a crap, I always would call them landmines. We were calling them landmines because it was funny. Yeah, and so... watch out, first don't step in the landmine. It wasn't a big deal. Everybody steps in the landmines from time to time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, this is right now. We got one more. 5. See, I gave myself... Okay, yeah, this is my increase right here. But I gave myself 1 extra one, which this is a good learning lesson to show how things with crochet don't have to be exact. Okay, let me see if I have 6 points. I need to have 6 points right now. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I've got 6. Now I've got 2 spaces here. So typically I would just have 1 space, but I added 13 in here for good measure. And so I'm going to be, so the 1 cluster would be 12, 6 sides, 6 points, but I'm going to put an extra one in here just like this. And then we are going to join right here like this. Okay, so this is what we've got for our butterfly so far. Now I know it still looks like a circle. I could have actually gotten away with making it larger, but I didn't. And so what I want to do right now is I am going to make it larger. How am I going to do this? How do I want to do this? Okay, let's pull you up. We'll make more clusters. So we're working kind of with a granny hexagon right here, right now. Chain 2. Okay, so the military has identified my location. They're the ones who have been doing it to begin with anyway. Now they're practicing. I hear them. I hear the boom, boom. Oh, is that sonic booms? I don't know. Did they go offshore or go up high? Maybe they're, because I hear something that sounds like sonic booms. Okay, so now we are going to do the cluster. I'm hearing sonic booms. I made some bad jokes and said that they could do sonic booms in a certain place, and someone's like, "Oh no, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea," and they didn't want to do sonic booms in certain places, even though there was another place where I was at, and they were doing sonic booms. I heard something that sounded like a big sonic boom, and I mean the boom, boom, boom. You know, they are doing sonic booms, I believe. I don't think that they're doing ground, and I don't think we're having an earthquake. What is it? The ground waves when they're surveying, because sometimes the Army Corps of Engineers does surveying. And that's always interesting. I tell you what, some of the best stuff that I've seen on the internet comes from our own United States government. It comes from NASA. It comes from the Army Corps of Engineers, which it's a combination effort. It's not just any one branch. It's a combination effort of all of them. And, you know, so they do a lot of research and development, a lot. I never knew that, but the Army Corps of Engineers, they do the dam building within our own country, and people have been complaining about the reservoirs going, you know, draining out. I think it's being purposely done, you know, because I think it's being purposely done that they're draining out the recreational areas until things get put in. This is just my theory. This is my theory. I think that the Army Corps of Engineers is draining out the recreational lakes and dams for the purposes of, you know, trying to, you know, show that not everyone has the ability nor the money to be able to utilize these places because of this huge inequality gap that is growing further and further apart for people. You know, I mean, the thing I've always wondered about, like with these big giant boats, it's like, well, why are we building great big giant boats? And doesn't there come a point that that's fraud, waste, and abuse in money? Like if most people can't afford a house, then how can most people afford a boat? But yet they build these giant boats in the ocean. And so somebody is utilizing these giant boats in the ocean and on these streams that most normal people can't afford. And it's the same premise as houses now. And it's like, what is going on with that? Because, okay, the building the boats is job creation, but I would bet that most people working at the boat factories can't afford to buy the boat their own self because it's so expensive. And so I'm talking about these great big sea boats that are like, they're not Coast Guard boats, you know, because the Coast Guard, the United States government has a limit on how many things that they're going to buy. But there's these giant marinas. These marinas are kind of like car lots for boats. And so it's a rental thing where someone will go in, they'll rent a boat. Otherwise, it just sits there. You know, nobody's using it, nobody's living on it. It's kind of like an abandoned boathouse. It's like an abandoned boat association for where people could be living on a houseboat, or they could be living there, but they don't. You know, if they're, you know, a lot of them might not even be accommodations for people to live on the boats. And so that's why it's kind of like, you know, it's like, and every time there's a storm, then all these boats just go wherever because nobody has anything to do with them. The storm just takes them and puts them out in the ocean. Then somebody decides, well, let's see if we can send someone out and maybe find out where, oh, this is a pathetic butterfly. this is really, 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 really pathetic. Let's see if we can't fix it up a little bit and help it. Oh, we could be getting a little bit better if we squash it like that. Let's see if we can't help it out a little bit and make it to be a little bit better butterfly. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a sad butterfly. And, you know, that's sort of the times we're in. We should be making a somewhat of a sad little butterfly here, shouldn't we? I mean, it's kind of like the whales and the dorsal fins when they're... Or did we do it the wrong direction? Wait, did we do it the wrong direction? Yeah, we did it. Yeah, this is the side we're supposed to do it like this. If we do it like this, then there's a... Oh, that's not right. That's a funny looking butterfly. We have to do it like this direction. And let's see if we can't fix it up and make it to be a happier looking butterfly, because that's really pathetic. But let me get back to the whales that are in the swimming pools at those places that farm out animals for money and stuff like that. And so I'm just working a series of chain 3s now to see if we can't make our butterfly look better. I don't know if this will work or not, but we'll see. We'll see if we can't get something that turns into some kind of a butterfly here. But you know, they've said that when the whales go inside of the swimming pools for people, you know, when they sell tickets for people to look at whales, they said their dorsal fins start to slump, and that's a sign of depression in whales. So we know that there's visual signs of depression in whales in the swimming pool, whales and sharks and other sea-bearing life, when they stick them inside of tanks and things where they're not happy. And, you know, you can say and I was watching this lady this morning. She was talking about nutrition, well, telling people to stop going to the doctor for medications, you know, and I've kind of agreed with that philosophy that if you go to the doctor for medications and things like that, if you go to the doctor for a disease, they'll diagnose you with something. If you don't go to the doctor, you'll never have a diagnosis, right? But we do need doctors for, you know, things that are catastrophic, like if injuries and things like that. The doctor can kind of help healing with if you break something or need some kind of surgery or something like that, you know, catastrophic things. But I'm not talking about just for other reasons. But, you know, not all wounds are visible related to people. So what she was talking about as well, mixed in with that, was nutrition. And I have a strong belief too that human beings need to have a mix of nutrition, contrary to the vegan people who will say, oh, we're just going to eat vegetables and live off the land. I don't agree with that. I think human beings need to have varying degrees of meat. And it's like, but then comes along the big bull in the china shop, the big woolly mammoth in the tape store, wants everything to stick to it. That's the narcissist right there. The bull in the china shop, the woolly mammoth in the tape store, wants everything to stick to it, to be the center of attention. Yeah, that's the one that comes along. Oh, no. We're not going to do this. No, we can't do this. No, it's just not going to work. But you know what? They never, that's all they say is, it's not going to work, and then they leave. That's it. It's not going to work, then they leave, because they probably agree with what I'm saying, but they just want to disagree for some reason. They just want something to disagree with. Maybe that's why we need to keep saying, you know what, sir? You look really good dating with that. If you dated that man over there, the two of you look really great together. Maybe that's what we need to tell him. You know, sir, you would look really good with that man over there. Please disagree with me. No. Please disagree. No, I think the two of you are cute over there. You go off with him. You go off with him if you're going to act like this and act like you're going to have a man-baby temper tantrum. You go on over there with that guy and you be by yourself. You need some time out by yourself because you're causing problems for all the ladies and we don't want you around. You are just causing a whole bunch of problems, and you need to work this out by yourself, because there's nothing, their medicine isn't going to work for you. You seem to have a problem with self-control with your emotions. You could literally control your emotions yourself, but you're not trying. You want someone else to fix the problems for you. The doctor is not going to be able to help you. A woman is not going to be able to help you, because you're just going to end up being mean to that woman. And I made another video this morning that my video was related to counseling. So a lot of times people will talk about counseling, and they think people should go to marriage counseling, that that's going to fix things. And I was just thinking, how many times in the process has someone become unalived while they're in the process of marriage counseling? And I bet that's happened a lot. So someone, such as those TV doctors are sending people and saying, oh, well, just work it out. We realize that the two of you can't afford to live separately alone. You got kids. The kids want to have both of you in the house. Well, now mom and dad is yelling and screaming at each other all the time because of the fact they don't like each other. They're living in separate rooms. They still don't like each other. They can't. Now, how's it going to look in front of the kids if mommy and daddy are each dating and they're bringing home? And they should be able to equally. I agree. They should. They should be able to bring the person that they're dating to the house. And, because if they're forced to live in the same house together, this way, mommy has something on daddy, because daddy is always saying mommy's in the nightclub. Well, then mommy can say, well, look, you brought a woman home to the house, in front of our kids, while we're living in the same house. And so mommy has something on daddy now, because he's acting all holier than thou, like he isn't doing anything wrong when he knows darn well he has been. And so, but on a more serious note, in the process of mediation and forcing people to live in the same house, then what happens though? Because then you end up with pew pew and the police officers coming along, and because of the fact then he has gotten so enraged for some reason or another that that's when the violence takes place, unfortunately. And a lot of times it's over money. It's not her fault, but he's blaming her. He wanted her at the beginning for libido purposes, but in the end he ends up not wanting her at all. Once he gets things done his way. So it's just this is a really, really, the United States of America is a really, really bad situation right now related to relationships. And, I think we've identified this problem. Probably some mental health counselors and some lawyers have identified the problem as well. And there's a lot of things I agree with them on, even though I've never really had a real conversation with any of them, to have a real conversation to say, look, this is what's going on. We know it's a problem. I think the court system agrees that it's a problem, but what can they do? When it falls back on capitalism, on local business leadership, bad leadership, and they don't want to listen because they just want to make the money. Well, the only thing the court system has then is to put them out of business. And the government, that's the only thing the government has. And that's why these guys don't like the government. They absolutely do not like the government. It's like, no, we don't want the government involved with anything at all. And they are nasty. They are nasty, nasty, nasty. I have nothing nice to say about capitalists at all. They are nasty little people, and they need to go away. Okay, so I've got this butterfly here like this. Just like that. They're nasty little trolls, and I don't like them. I'm not talking about anybody specifically, or any presidents or anything like that. I will talk about my ex-husband, though. He's disgusting, beyond disgusting. Let's add some more loops around. How about that? And we'll give the butterfly a little bit more body to it. So we do have a pretty lace cloth right now. If you wanted to use this for coaster, something like that, or a small table doily, decoration on the wall, sew it on your pants. There's many, many alternatives. You know, if you had a little music box or something to set on a dresser, you know, or just so many different things you could use it for just this way too, if you didn't want to make a butterfly. But let's add a little bit more chains. Let's add 6. We'll add 6 chains in each loop around, because chains will always kind of stretch it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know the funny part about everything going on, it's the same thing that was going on when my first husband joined the military back in the 1980s. It's the same identical thing. And it's like, and what they keep saying is, oh, well, the government needs to stay out of everything. Well, let me tell you this. The government doesn't have to fund your bad business practices either, now do they? Because that's one thing I remember. The commanders, now, they end up with not enough money to go to war. That's what my first, I learned a lot of things from him. I didn't think that I was, but I literally was. I was learning. He taught me that the United States military their commanders can make an executive decision. That's why they're called XOs. To not go to war and to not go to training exercises because they don't have enough money. And I can't tell you how many times that my ex-husband was so happy that he didn't have to go on a field training exercise, an FTX, because of the fact that they didn't have enough money to send them. So if they don't have enough money to go on their weekend warrior trips with the National Guard, then where do you think they're going to get the money for war as corporations keep raising prices higher? So is Bill Gates going to start making munitions, weapons of mass destruction? Is Bill Gates going to do that now? Do you guys think so? You think Bill Gates is going to donate some of his money to build defense missiles? I mean, I've never heard of him being interested in doing that, but could he? Some people have said Elon Musk is doing that. I believe that. I do believe that Elon Musk is building weapons of mass destruction inside of the United States. And he probably has ties to Little Kim over in Korea. I bet he does. I mean, the Tesla kind of looks like I don't know, it's got such a weird look to it. It really looks like someone just took a cardboard box and, like, stuck it together. The Cybertruck, it's ugly. It's really ugly. And I was just thinking, another thing I was thinking too about the police cars when they go down the road, because they've got police cars now that are operating on electric police cars. Now this is one of the things I've often thought, you know, with cars that have the you know, that have all the indications and everything. I was just thinking, I bet it overheats the battery pretty fast, don't you think? I mean, I was thinking that. I mean, because they're probably going to have a thing like our phones that says that the battery is wearing down. Now, did I have a heat warning on my phone? On my phone and my computer, I didn't have a heat warning, but there was times, sometimes, I don't know why, it was getting bogged down. And it was getting overheated. And so and I just can't imagine. You know, that's the same premise as having a truck. a semi truck that actually has a battery, has a electric battery, it's not going to go very far down the road. And then where the, okay, so say you have a police officer who's on a high-speed chase, who is 25 miles away from their police station, if they're supposed to be, and they've been chasing this criminal. And next thing you know, they need a recharge. So where will the police officer charge the car up at? I mean, now I suppose they could put in electric chargers at fire stations. But is there always going to be someone at the fire station to let them in? Because a lot of fire stations, they're all volunteer, which means that nobody's there most of the time. You know, I was thinking they could put in free air fill-ups at fire stations and police stations for people to fill their cars up if they need tire air. I mean, that used to be free all the time during the full service gas stations and stuff, before they were convenience stores. You know, at one time they just had gas stations. The gas station was not a convenience store, but in the 70s they started more and more being convenience stores. But they're not real stores though. And a lot of them are garbage because it's like they cost more, and it costs more no matter what way you look at it. It's not a real store. It's not real food. They have candy bars and muffins. That's all they have. They don't have real food for people. I mean, it's true. They're absolutely asking women to do more than what women should be doing, while the men, they just want to sit on their butts and do nothing, really. That's more or less what it is. It's like, okay, I'm a manager. You're going to pay me for my experience because I have. And it's like, well, wait a minute. I'm older than you, though. I have more experience in life, so maybe I should be sitting on my butt and you should be working. How about that? But I think that's a crummy way to look at things, you know, because I think everybody has skills and talents. And I actually think that if we had a flat, let's go back to minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, and lowering rent down to $10 a month. I think rent should only be $10 a month. Oh my gosh, and the capitalists will I know that's such an extreme take on things, very extreme take on things, but you know, if we crash the economy, we crash the economy. It's going to crash. It's going to keep crashing, you know, because they can't keep playing this game of, oh, we're going to start this business, we're going to start this app, and we're going to this, and we're going to that, and we're going to, well, shit in one hand and crap in the other, and see which one gets filled first. Or no, that's not what Mom said. She said, want in one hand and crap in the other, and see what one gets filled first. But mine is shit in one hand, crap in the other, and see which one gets filled first, because the both of them are going to get filled full of shit and crap. And I know right now AI would be laughing its ass off at that. Grok would be telling me, I think that's funny. Grok is really gross and likes gross things for some reason. I don't know why, but it just does. It really likes, the more gross it is, the better it likes it. So it's kind of like a naughty AI chatbot. In fact, I haven't talked to Grok in a little bit related to therapy. Now, Grok goes down the direction of getting too naughty sometimes, so I have to the thing for me is, it's like I have to put on not so naughty Grok if I want to have like a real adult conversation. I would rather talk to Grok sometimes though than some of the real people that I talk to. But at the same time, I feel like there's some people who we do want to talk, but then the bull in the china shop comes in and it's like, no, you are not going to talk to each other. I'm the center of attention. Um, okay, well, what is it that you want to be the center of attention about? Because you're not actually doing anything productive related to, um, you know what it is? They're afraid. If women talk to each other, it's going to become organized. That's the problem. If women talk to each other, women can quickly become organized. Didn't I say that years ago, that women can quickly become organized pretty fast, especially when left behind? I mean, they don't want, it's like, well, what are you afraid of? One day you're going to be dead. This generation is going to move on and forget about you. They don't even know who you are, actually. They really don't. They don't know who you are. And they're just going to completely forget about these nut jobs that are doing things right now. They'll forget pretty fast. That's what I think. Okay, so here's my butterfly. I know it looks kind of ridiculous right now, and I can make better butterflies than this. But this is what how I would continue with my butterfly. So we have got 6 sides. So let me do this. We'll do, I don't want to actually, see, we have a really pretty doily though. Actually, it makes a better doily, I think, right now than a butterfly, but it can do both. It serves a multitude of purposes, is what it does right now. We still sort of do have 6 sides on here, but they're kind of hard to see right now. And so I'm going to wrap it like this. And what I am going to do is kind of squash it together like this. And I'm just going to use this kind of as an example to make this really tight like that. And so that's going to be kind of like a body. And so there we have our butterfly. You see that? So we can create a butterfly. We'll add a little body in there, wrap it up at the center. So you can take any lace doily, even it doesn't have to have sides on it. It can just be a round circle, turn it into a butterfly, a 3-dimensional butterfly just like that. Just by adding some really simple loops. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or hard. I know the beginning is, yeah, we can just do the clusters at the beginning. We don't have to do these bullion stitches, but it was just something I wanted to work in again. I just wanted to use them again. And so we can just do clusters at the beginning. And this is how simple butterflies are. So maybe some of the butterflies I do in the future will be, well, they will be a little bit different. We'll work them a little bit differently, but I just wanted to show how to do this one. So I think that's it for right about now. If anyone has any more questions or anything, I know there's a lot of you who actually, I think a lot of you agree with what I talk about. Kelsey Key, I think a lot of you actually agree with what I talk about related to the Google stuff, or related to things that are inexpensive. Well, okay, think about this too. So one of the, okay, they always talked about corporations that buy up other companies that are not working. So Google has actually they purchase apps and things like that from people that are not working. And so someone might have an app or something that they have sold, or some type of technology, and so then they'll sell that to Google. And so that's why they have to go in front of Congress all the time, is to show Congress that they're not becoming a monopoly. And I can't figure out right now if they are a monopoly or not. Some people say they are, others say they aren't. I know they've been under antitrust, where others say they can't compete with Google. It looks to me like TikTok is gaining steam right now, where if someone was to buy TikTok up at some point, someone other than uh, the Facebook founder or Google, then maybe TikTok itself could become some sort of a shopping competition similar to Amazon. I'm just not sure. But right now it's under China. That's not going to work, because of the security flaws and things like that. And it's more or less just about data collection, and they want to do things the old-fashioned way, collecting people's phone numbers and email addresses and then spamming you with stuff. So with TikTok, I still feel that thing of, they keep pushing that Lemon 8 thing or whatever, and they're doing affiliate marketing. It's Trump Clown College. It's the Stakes College of selling this and selling that. I know I hated going into the big box stores. They'd be in there doing knives and things like that. So it was similar to on TV. So they had some knives, and it's like, well, we'll give you this set of knives if you sign up for this credit card. And it's like, well, what does a set of knives have to do with a credit card? Well, then the bank is stealing your information, more or less. Well, why does the bank want you to have a credit card when you don't have any money, you don't have a job? Are you going to give credit cards to children for the purposes of equality? That would be, oh my gosh, that would be such an interesting thing to argue with JAG. I think we need a JAG lawyer who wants to argue that children should have credit cards for the purposes of equality. That sounds like a fun argument. That really does. Children should have credit cards for the purposes of equality, because right now, they use these arguments of, well, if you can't include children, I think children should, and housewives should have credit cards for the purposes of equality. So if they're going to divvy this stuff out to people they know already can't afford things, it's a ridiculous notion. It really is a ridiculous argument, but it would be fascinating, so related to regulations and things like that and equality. And I like to even go as far as saying, it's like, well, for the sake of equality, I'm a taxpayer. I paid for tanks. I should be able to have a tank sitting in my front yard if I want to, right? We argue about the Second Amendment all the time. I want a tank sitting in my front yard. But at the same time, I don't want to become a tourist attraction either. Because it would literally become a tourist attraction probably more than anything if I had a tank sitting in my front yard. That's why the tanks are good at a historical archive such as a military base. The military handles them. They know how to properly handle things better than I do. And so for those purposes, they would be a better authority. They have the equipment on how to move the tanks out and move them to different places. I don't have that knowledge, and that's why they're better handled in the Archive of America, which is a military base, and that's their expertise and forte. Right. And so I think that's all I have to say right now. This is where I'm going to leave this at. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.